Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood before the towering crystalline arch of the Galactic Council chambers. Her modest grey suit, a stark contrast to the elaborate ceremonial robes, bioluminescent displays, and quantum field mantles worn by the assembled representatives of 47 species. The air shimmered with translation matrices as beings of vastly different evolutionary paths gathered to witness what many considered the most important diplomatic session in galactic history. Council Prime Thektar, his massive cephalopod form undulating within a pressurized sphere, spoke with the weight of 10,000 years of tradition. Ambassador Vasquez of the Human Federation, you have been summoned to negotiate the terms of your species' integration into galactic civilization. The Council has prepared a comprehensive framework that addresses territorial boundaries, technology sharing, resource allocation, and cultural preservation protocols. Elena remained silent for a long moment, her dark eyes scanning the assembled representatives. When she finally spoke, her voice carried clearly through the translation field. No. The single word hung in the chamber like a gravity well, drawing all attention to its impossible simplicity. Councillor Vexini, whose species had spent 3 centuries negotiating their admission, shifted nervously within her energy matrix. The Kavari representative's feathers ruffled in patterns that suggested deep confusion. Thektar's chromatophores flickered in rapid succession, a display that, Elena knew from her briefings, indicated severe cognitive dissonance. I do not understand. Are you requesting modifications to the framework? Additional time for consideration? I'm rejecting negotiations entirely, Elena said calmly. Humanity declines to join the Galactic Council under any terms. The chamber erupted into chaos. Beings that communicated through biochemical signals began releasing complex pheromone clouds. Species that spoke in mathematical harmonics filled the air with discordant equations. The energy beings simply pulsed in patterns that overwhelmed the translation systems. Ambassador Zix of the Meridian Collective, his crystalline form resonating with barely contained shock, managed to speak first. But you must join. It is the natural progression. All species that achieve faster than light travel must integrate into galactic civilization. Elena's smile was gentle but unmovable. Says who? The question hit the assembly like a neutrino burst. For the first time in anyone's memory, the council chamber fell completely silent. Thektar's massive intellect struggled with the concept. It is how things are done. The framework ensures peace, prosperity, mutual cooperation. For the council, Elena interrupted. But what has the council achieved in the last 1,000 years? Councillor Prexter, speaking for the ancient hegemony, drew himself to his full 3-meter height. We have maintained galactic peace, prevented 17 wars, established trade routes that span. You've maintained stagnation, Elena said, her voice carrying no malice, only certainty. You've prevented wars by preventing growth. You've established trade routes that favor established powers. You've created a system where 47 species spend centuries debating whether a new shade of blue constitutes a significant cultural development requiring subcommittee analysis. The Kavari representative's translator stuttered as it tried to process her rapid-fire commentary. But without structure, without negotiation, there would be chaos. Elena pulled out a small device, clearly human technology, that none of the council's sensors could properly classify. Images began appearing in the chamber's central display matrix. This is the Andromeda Cooperative, she said, as the display showed vast space habitats, unlike anything in council space. 37 species working together without a single formal treaty. This is the Spiral Alliance, 42 civilizations that communicate through pure intention rather than legislation. And this is the Quantum Fellowship beings who transcended physical form entirely and now exist as pure collaborative consciousness. Each image showed something the Council had never seen: civilizations that had evolved beyond their rigid frameworks, societies that thrived on principles the Council couldn't even conceptualize. "You want to know why we're rejecting negotiations?" Elena continued. "Because we've already joined something better. We're part of a growing coalition of species that have moved beyond the need for territorial boundaries and resource allocation. We share consciousness, energy, and purpose without requiring legal frameworks to define our interactions." Dektar's chromatophores had stopped flickering entirely. "That's impossible. Civilization requires structure, hierarchy, defined relationships." "Civilization requires consciousness and choice," Elena corrected. "Everything else is just bureaucracy." The display shifted to show Earth and its surrounding space, but not as the Council remembered it. Instead of a single planet with scattered orbital installations, they saw something that defied their understanding. Reality itself seemed more flexible there. Space-time bent to accommodate structures that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "We've been in contact with 63 post-Council species," Elena revealed. "Civilizations that tried your way and found it limiting. They've taught us that consciousness isn't bound by the physical laws you think are absolute. We've learned to exist in states your science can't measure." Ambassador Zik's crystalline form began resonating at frequencies that suggested deep fear. "You're describing dissolution of ordered reality. Without frameworks, without negotiations, without agreed-upon constants, without limitations," Elena finished. "The universe is far stranger and more wonderful than your treaties allow for. We've discovered that when species truly cooperate, not just trade resources or exchange technologies, but actually share consciousness and intent, they can rewrite the fundamental laws that govern their existence." She gestured toward the Council chamber itself. "Look around you. 47 species, 10,000 years of tradition, and what do you have to show for it? The same debates, the same territorial disputes, the same resource competitions your ancestors had when they were crawling out of primordial oceans." Dektar's voice carried a note Elena had never heard from a Council member: uncertainty. "But if what you describe were possible, why haven't we detected these post-Council civilizations?" Elena's smile widened. "Because they exist in states of reality you can't perceive. Your instruments can only detect what your frameworks allow to be real. You've negotiated yourselves into a very small corner of what's actually possible." The chamber remained silent as the implications settled over the assembly like a physical weight. "So no," Elena said finally, "we will not be joining your council. We will not negotiate territorial boundaries in a universe where consciousness can transcend space. We will not allocate resources when matter itself responds to collaborative intent. And we will not preserve our culture by isolating it from the infinite possibilities that await beyond your limitations." She turned to leave, then paused. "But the invitation remains open. When you're ready to stop negotiating with reality and start participating in it, you'll find us waiting in the spaces between your equations." As the human ambassador walked out of the chamber, reality itself seemed to shimmer around her, as if the universe was acknowledging something the Council had never learned to see. Behind her, 47 civilizations sat in stunned silence, suddenly aware that their greatest achievement, the Galactic Council itself, might be the very thing preventing them from discovering what they could become.